Okay, my vegan diet, the reason I went vegan in the first place, and how I want to tell you how it's improved my performance and improved my recovery and everything like that. It's super important for me to give you the background. Now, I was essentially for the last 10, 11 years, I've been splitting my time between the south of Spain in Granada and the north of Thailand in Chiang Mai. Both areas are very mountainous. Jungle, obviously in Thailand, and forests and big mountains in the south of Spain in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And both are perfect for training as a runner, but equally, if not more, even suited to cyclists. So you meet a lot of cyclists. And when I'm in Chiang Mai, there's a massive number of vegan cyclists. And the reason for that is popular characters like Durian Rider, who's a big character on YouTube. But just, it's an easy place. When you've kind of got more vegans, more vegetarians, then obviously there's going to be more restaurants, there's more demand for it, so more restaurants open up, and then it feeds that circle. So at a time there was I think hundreds of vegan restaurants in Chiang Mai. This is before the pandemic. And so naturally it's a very easy place to be vegan, and Thai food is great anyway, but when you mix that kind of with vegan Thai food and with other options, it becomes very, very easy place to be vegan. But when I initially went there, and this would have been 2013, I was just hit with this kind of cult like veganism where, you know, people are wearing Go Vegan and the luminous clothing, and it's, you don't even need to speak to somebody, and it's kind of, you've got their opinions and views in your face, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that it felt like, and it definitely was at the time, either you're with us 100% or you're not with us, and therefore you're not in our group, you're not allowed to ride with us, you're not allowed to kind of. And I hated that, because I loved the inclusivity that comes with sport. It's like, you're a runner, I'm a runner, we can be friends. It's like you're a child, like you like Spider-Man, I like Spider-Man, we can be friends. And with cycling, it kind of felt, some of it kind of feels like that anyway. It's like you've got to wear the right helmet and sunglasses, your sock length has got to be the right length, and it's got to be the right color, and all that kind of stuff that comes with cycling anyway. And it's supposed to be a poor man's sport, but essentially it's become, you know, the entry level is quite a few $1,000s, and so it excludes a lot of people that way. And I don't like riding. I ride my bike because I love the sense of being a child, of playing around on my BMX, on my mountain bikes as a kid, and just like going to places, you know, exploring and going to places that I didn't think were possible, or I didn't know what was around the next corner. That's what really excites me about cycling. So I would just, you know, go off, and I wouldn't be wearing the right kit, and I wouldn't be wearing the right, you know, all what was important for me to wear was a good pair of shorts, because, you know, the padding is really important in the shorts. It wasn't important what type of bike I was on, or, you know, what I was wearing on top, or anything like that. And so when I was met with this, either you're with us and you're a vegan 100% and you're not, I kind of like, I just looked away from that and didn't hang around with those people. But one day I was riding with a pretty young kid at the time, like 21 years old, and he'd never talked about his diet. I knew he was vegan. I knew he was a great cyclist, but he'd never talked about cycling. He'd never kind of like worn the clothing. He'd never kind of, it wasn't in your face with him. And I was just riding alone with him, and we were probably 20-30 kilometers away from Chiang Mai, and I said to him, why are you vegan? And he just answered me so simple. Norwegian guy, lovely guy I still keep in contact with. He answered me with one sentence, and he said, because he feels that animals have just as right to live as we do. And that was so powerful for me to hear that sentence, because I'd grown up with like crazy amounts of dogs in my house. Like, my mum was obsessed with dogs, and we had lots of dogs in my house. There was always animals in my childhood, and that sentence alone was enough for me to like, okay, let's try this. I was really concerned about my performance, athletic performance, and my energy for running, my energy for cycling, my recovery, especially for running and cycling, and the you know, protein. We kind of like grow up, and protein is it's really important to get red meat and have the macronutrient protein in a certain amount of grams per day, at 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, 1.2 grams for a runner, all this kind of stuff that you hear, and it's kind of like embedded into what we're made to believe. I was really worried that was going to affect my performance. Where I'm going to get my protein from is a big topic of conversation in veganism, and I already kind of cut red meat out when I go to Thailand, because there's been times in the past when I've got food poisoning and it's kind of been related to red meat. So I cut that out anyway, and I was just sort of that. So then I had to cut out the chicken, the turkey, and then I cut out eggs, and I cut out dairy. And when I cut out dairy, that was the big thing. Like, I started to see more consistency in my energy. I'm not please don't think I'm preaching here, because I'm definitely not. You do what you want to do. But my thought was that if people can eat less meat, rather than saying either you're with us and you're vegan 100%, or you're not, and therefore you're not, and there's like 1% of vegans in the world, I felt that was a silly way to get more vegans or more people not eating as much meat. I feel that my stance is more kind of like, try to eat less meat, and you'll feel good about yourself. And if you feel good about yourself and you see the recovery, then you'll continue with more days of not eating meat, and then see where you kind of end up. But you've got to do what's right for you and what's right for you in the moment. So I cut out those things, and when I cut out dairy, like the recovery benefit of me recovering faster and fuller than ever before, I was able to do. I would train hard every 4 days, and then all of a sudden I was able to train hard, like a hard interval session or a hard long run every 3 days. So over the year, that means you're training hard every 72 hours instead of every 96 hours. And it meant that I could hit that super compensation and recover very quickly, and I was confident in my recovery because I didn't have, and there was a relationship between dairy and inflammation. And I knew about that, but I kind of like, we've always, like, even as a kid, as a runner, I was always taught that have a glass of milk after training, because it's got protein in it, and it's just enough for you to recover, and it's utter nonsense. And you only kind of really believe and feel that for yourself once you actually do it. And that was a massive breakthrough for me. And so I'm the same as that guy for me, Vigard, the Norwegian. If somebody asks me about I know I'm putting a video out there, but if somebody asks me about my diet, I'll tell them what I eat, and I'll tell them that, if I go for pizza, I'll have a margherita pizza, and that'll be an Italian margherita, and it'll have cheese on it, and that will be every 2 weeks or something like that. So I'm not kind of like a militant vegan, but I definitely have like 95 to 99% plant-based diet, and for me it's been insanely. I've had all my best performances since I went vegan in 2015. I had a big surge after then. I was more confident in my recovery. It was a fuller recovery, and I had more consistent energy throughout the day, and it was easy for me to have access to people who really knew what they were talking about. So I had people who would look at what I was eating and say, great, you're kind of, most of the time with veganism, you're kind of, you've got the fruits, you've got the calories, you've got the vegetables, you've got the grains, and your struggle is trying to get the right amount of calories, especially if you're doing a lot of hours on the bike or a lot of hours running. That's always a struggle to get the amount of calories, but a lot of the time what people struggle with is getting not only the amount of protein that they need, and you don't need as much protein as what you're told in a lot of magazines and over the years what we've been fed, pardon the pun, but a simple way to get the amino acid profile in the proteins is just to have 400 grams of lentils and beans. So I have chickpeas, red beans, green beans, and and lentils as well. I have something like that, 4 different beans, 400 grams, and that hits the amino acid profile. So that was another big thing in COVID, where I was like, okay, I'm having a vegan diet. I feel like I'm something like a 7 out of 10. How can I get a little bit higher, an 8 or a 9 out of 10? I'm probably about a 9 out of 10 diet now. So yeah, and what I will say is, obviously, no more food poisoning. I've not had food poisoning since. So I've not had food poisoning since 2015, before 2015, and my immune system is much better than it was. So there's much more. There's many, apart from the physical and the sporting benefits of recovery and energy. There's many more benefits on top of that, and that's what I will say about veganism. And what you then realize is that you know once you kind of get into that way of eating, it's like anything. There's gonna be, in every crowd, there's going to be really loud people that are talking about their opinions, and the loudest people unfortunately get hurt. Like the child who cries the loudest gets fed first kind of thing. It's always like that. But when you kind of get into it and you start to eat that and you start to see the benefits for yourself, you're probably not going to turn back.